Hello guys, I'm Daniel and this is Dan's Tech Vlog. So in today's video guys, we have this right here behind me. This is the early 2009 Mac Mini. This has a 2 GHz Core 2 Duo. This configuration currently has the original 2 GB of RAM. It is DDR3 1067 MHz. It also has the original 120 GB hard drive. Yep, that's hard drive, not SSD. And it still is chugging along. Now, why do I have this Mac in my possession, as well as a wonderful 23-inch cinema display? Well, so the Mac Mini is for a client of mine. Basically, it's going to do its job becoming a little server. So the client of mine has got some, well, I have ordered for them some new hard drives, a 3 TB and a 4 TB. They also have another 4 TB and another 2 TB. These are Firewire 800 drives, a couple of them USB. They are USB 3, of course. This Mac Mini doesn't have USB 3. That's not really going to be an issue though, seeing as though it's just for pictures. They're not actually going to be editing off it or anything. It's only pretty much going to be used as some sort of NAS. Now, why would you want to pick one of these machines up? Well, for general web browsing, even though this thing is capped out at El Capitan, pardon the pun, but this guy is capped out at 10.11.6 El Capitan. It does support up to 8 gigs of RAM, which I will probably put about 4 gigs of RAM in it. I have opened it up to see, and I have tried 8 gigs of RAM in it, and it does work, but my client has bought this in its standard configuration. Like I say, it's not actually going to be used as a main computer, I don't think. If it is, then of course I will have more RAM put in it and probably an SSD, since it's not too difficult for me to get into one of these little things. But yeah, for general computing, it's a pretty solid little machine. It has an NVIDIA graphics chip, the 9400 I believe, which is a great little chip. It does its job at doing video-y stuff. It's currently running a 1920 by 1200p panel. This is an Apple Cinema display from around 2007. This is a very, very late one out of its series. This is when it was dated anyway. But yeah, this machine is going pretty strong. I have the official Apple aluminium keyboard, the original mouse, and also the cinema display connected to this guy. Now, something that I should tell you about the Mac Mini is it does have a prone thing of yellowing on the top, seeing as though the top of the machine is just white plastic under, it's just white, it's just a white material under a layer of plastic. So it is definitely prone to yellowing quite a bit. I have seen some very heavily yellowed ones. If I can find one on Google for you, I will stick a picture up there. Because yeah, they do look a little bit ugly once they've got to that stage. The cinema display here actually has the same kind of white sides. This is definitely still within the age of the aluminium and white plastic era, before we got to the aluminium and black and the steel and things like that we're now in. But yeah, I still think this machine is very pretty, by the way. I think it is a gorgeous looking machine for its age, considering this thing is nearly a decade old, which is scary to think about, considering the 2009 Mac Mini was one of the first Macs I ever used, which is crazy to think about. I've been using Macs longer than that, by the way, but yeah, my first proper knuckling down to use a Mac was a 2009 Mac. But yeah, I believe this little guy is great for general stuff. Put more RAM in it, put a SSD in it, or at least a bigger hard drive, and you have one hell of a little machine for the money. Now, how much do they roughly cost for one of these? On eBay right now, you can probably pick one of these guys up for roughly about the £100 mark, which isn't that much, especially for a Mac to get your head in the, well, your foot in the door. And for that, you can often get between 2 to 4 gigabytes of RAM, between a 120 and a 320 gig hard drive, and the 2 gigahertz or 2.2 gigahertz Intel Core 2 Duo. Of course, these are not powerful machines by today. Like I stated before, they are capped out at El Capitan, but for most people that's not really going to be a problem, considering they do just fine as they are. And if you're really concerned about the specs and the speeds and thinking that macOS can't handle the little Core 2 Duo chip, well, you can always just stick Windows on it and make it a little Windows machine and stick it under your cupboard and use it on your TV. These are great little machines for multiple applications. Stick Kodi on it, use it as a Kodi box. You've got yourself a wonderful little cinema experience through this little guy. It does have DV. You can adapt the mini DVI to HDMI or the mini DisplayPort to HDMI and use the optical audio out. Yes, optical audio out on this guy and go straight to a set of speakers. So yeah, I find this guy wonderful. Of course, I have it on right now. As you can see, it's currently just sat at the desktop, but it's definitely a powerful little computer. And for general computing, I can't fault this thing, to be honest. It's a wonderful machine for the money. There's not really much else I can say for it, apart from if you want a Mac and you don't want to pay a lot, these guys are great. Just as a point of how much I love Mac Minis, I've just ordered myself a 2018 6-core Mac Mini, so be sure to stick around for that. And currently I'm using a late 2012 quad-core i7 Mac Mini in my cupboard right now to power the two displays behind the cinema. Now, yeah, about the cinema. People probably haven't seen this before. This is one of Apple's displays. Yes, there is actually an Apple logo on this monitor, and yes, it is over 12 years old, and yes, it still looks this good. These are awesome displays. They're not IPS and they're not LED backlit. They are standard LCD with tungsten tubes. Whatever they're called. Anyway, they're not LED backlit, so they do take a while to get to their full brightness. I had to wait a little for this video before I could start filming just to get this thing up to full brightness. But once they're at it, they're gorgeous displays as well, and I think it complements the Mac Mini quite a lot, to be honest. Especially with the aluminium keyboard, because you also get full support of the brightness because you're using an Apple display with an Apple computer, and I'm using the official adapter as well, so it's quite happy with this. Yeah, this display is gorgeous as well. I just had to throw this in here just for the ultimate experience on a Mac Mini, because this is the kind of thing that you'd want to get a Mac Mini with. By the way, these displays often retail on eBay used for about the 145 mark with their power supplies. The power supplies are just as, if not, the power supplies are harder, if not more harder, to get hold of than the actual displays themselves, because for some reason there's more displays than there is power supplies for the displays, which I've never quite understood, but I guess it's a thing. But yeah, for the money, for the computing experience, for a little machine, for someone that wants to get into Mac OS, someone that wants to start using iMovie to if they already have a MacBook Air or something and they want something to sit at a desk with an actual full-size keyboard and a mouse and a display, and they don't want to fiddle about with cables trying to, you know, use an external display with their MacBook. Something like this is great. Of course, stepping up to like a 2011, 2012 Mac Mini would be a lot more powerful. 2012 are still supported in Mojave as well. That would make this video. But yeah, for the money, these machines are ultimately great little beasts. And like I say, this is going to be used as a file storage server pretty much, so it's going to live in a cupboard on for pretty much all of its life. And it probably will get an SSD upgrade at some point when the internal hard drive inevitably fails. Touch wood, it won't happen, but hey, the hard drive in this is nearly a decade old, so I don't know what I can expect at this point. But yeah, it will have a few, I think 3 FireWire external drives, LaCie drives hooked up to it. Yeah, old LaCie drives, and also a few WD external drives, of which I have some hard drives behind. So yeah. So here we have one of the drives. This is one of the WD drives. Basically, he has some of the Silver Caddy, some of the MyBook Studios, so some of the really nice MyBook series from WD, but unfortunately the hard drives have failed in them. One's failed in it and the other one isn't that big, it's only like a 1 terabyte. So we have a 3 terabyte here, and also in a box over there I have a 4 terabyte model. So yes, WD NAS drives, so these things are pretty reliable. So that's what's going to be paired with this little Mac Mini, and that's going to be its job. So yeah, it's a file server. Now, People are probably going to ask, well Daniel, you could use an old Windows machine. Surely that would do better because you could put a USB 3 PCIe card in it, and you know, have full speed for the external drives and have more functionality out of it, and it'd probably be faster. Well, you're probably right, but this person, the client that I'm doing this for, they are a Mac user as much as I am, and the thing that I've come across being a Mac person is servers. When you're using a Mac, it's better to have a Mac that's a server, for instance an X server, or a Mac Mini, or even a Mac Pro, an early Mac Pro, on the network as your server, because for some reason Macs don't quite like Windows servers. They're not the best fans of them. Now, I know Linus Tech Tips has done videos using his iMac Pro on the network with all his magical servers. There's a lot more than I have, but for your average Joe, they don't do what they're supposed to do. They're not well trained, and with the Mac experience it's seamless. That's one of the things that I love. And also the hard drives, some of his hard drives that will be connected to this are already formatted for Mac. They're formatted in not NTFS or MS format. They're not in FAT32 or anything like that. They're in Apple's proprietary format. So the second you plug them into a Windows machine, it says, do you want to format this drive? And the answer is no, because there's like 2 terabytes of data on these drives. So even if we had the choice, we wouldn't want to. He's already had data scares. This is why all this stuff is being backed up in the first place, due to the fact that he has unfortunately lost some data which I managed to retrieve for him by digging around on other external drives and generally messing about with hard drives and connecting them to tools that I have on my MacBook. So I managed to recover his data, and we are backing it up quick. This was a no messing about. This was all of the stuff that we need, and as quickly as possible. In fact, within the next 3 days I'm going back to the client's house and setting all this up. So I might do a little behind the scenes of that. I'm not quite sure yet if he'll let me. I will indeed ask. But that's pretty much it for now, guys. Hope you've loved seeing the Mac Mini. I've certainly loved playing with it while it's currently in the workshop. But yeah, it's a great little machine, and if you have liked the machine or this video, please hit the thumbs up button. If you didn't like the video, then that button also exists. If you did hit the dislike button, guys, please tell me down in the comments section below. Also, while you're in the comments section, please ask me any comments, ideas, questions, anything you have about the channel, about the Mac Mini, or about anything about me even. Also, while you're in the bottom half of this video, of course, go to the description. You will find links to the equipment used in this video, as well as links to things you have seen in the video. I will put a general link for eBay for the Mac Mini and for the cinema display, if I remember. But that's it for now, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've been Daniel, this has been Dan's Tech World, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.